18 days to the election, with incredible great news overnight about when you could get your stimulus. And ironically, the 18 could be the countdown to exactly the day in which the stimulus deal is signed. This is 28. Hey, good morning, everybody. Hope you are good and safe. This is a midday morning update on your second stimulus check and stimulus package, and this is 28, with exciting great news about when you could see a second stimulus deal signed, actually signed and come into law. And with 18 days until the election, there's new indication today it could be 18 days exactly till you see that deal hatched. Oh boy, what is a strange twist? What is incredible great news? I'm getting to it right now. Go to the Friends channel, subscribe, because we're trying to reach 300,000 subscribers. 293, we're doing it. Let's keep on pushing. I'm going to have incredible great news for you all throughout the day, but it's starting right now. Also, like this video. In this video, I'll be going over why a lot of new indicators suggest that the deal will be hatched on the day after the election. Jeez. I mean, this video, this special is supposed to talk about your stimulus before the election. Now, with 18 days to the election, perhaps it's 18 days to your stimulus. Boy, I will have more about those incredible comments and great news from President Donald Trump overnight during that town hall meeting with NBC. I'll have more about what Joe Biden said and did not say about your stimulus. Then I will be going over really what you should expect to see. Third, I will go over something that you really need to push on, which I've not done before. And this is a totally new, incredibly important thing that you need to stay with me. It could be the single most important thing to get your stimulus now, not 18 days from now. So stay with me. It'll be around the 10-minute mark of this video. And then I'll begin to some incredible great comments. All right, let me get to the breaking great news. The breaking great news is that President Donald Trump overnight basically said that he thinks the stimulus deal will be hatched the day after the election. With 18 days to the election, that means that the stimulus package would be done around the 19th day and start going to a vote and being signed, within 48 hours thereafter. This is really sort of troubling, but also really great, but also a mixed bag. Let me explain what's going on. He said in his town hall conference with Savannah Guthrie on NBC Nightly News last night that he has a deal, that he has gone as high as he needs to go. He can even go higher, but he has a deal, and that Nancy Pelosi is simply not signing the deal because she wants to sign it after the election. She doesn't want to sign it before the election, and then once he wins on election night, the next day she'll sign the deal. It presumes two things. One, it presumes he wins, and two, it presumes that there's no contested election. With that, if that is true, this is incredible great news. Now, what if he loses, though? I'll be getting to that shortly. First, let me go over his comments last night. The problem we have with Nancy Pelosi is she couldn't care less about the worker. She couldn't care less about our people. We should have a stimulus. I want a stimulus. Republicans will approve a stimulus. She doesn't want to give the money. We should have stimulus. This is not our fault. This is China's fault, and she's penalizing our people. I'm ready to sign a big, beautiful stimulus. Then he continues to say, that says Nancy Pelosi, she doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to do the deal now. She thinks it's bad for our election to do the deal now. Then he says she needs to get out of our way. I love that imagery. Nancy Pelosi needs to get out of our way. She's not approving it. She doesn't appreciate our workers. Nancy Pelosi, we're ready to sign and pass the stimulus. Then Trump was asked a series of really good follow-up questions by Savannah Guthrie. I have to really commend her for these really great questions. And Trump then said, she doesn't want to give the money. It's not our people's fault, that it's China's fault. I want to give big and bold and give money directly to the people. There's two things that you have to hear in those comments. First, he wants to give big amounts to the people, and he wants to make sure it goes right to the people. I mean, this is very important. Why is this important? Let me give you an example of why this is important. When he says directly to the people, he means stimulus checks. He means enhanced unemployment benefits. He means EIDL grants. He means that CDC grant that goes right into your hand for frontline workers. He means anything that goes right between the federal government and you. It doesn't go to the employer and to you. It doesn't go to your boss who applies and then goes to you. It goes right from the federal government into your hands. And what I've been detailing in the last 24 hours, because I have to always remind you, all these things work together. None are contradictory. So under this package, you would get all of these things if you qualify for all these things. You would get a stimulus check. You would get enhanced unemployment benefits. You would get EIDL grant. You would get the CDC grant. You would get potentially all the other things like PPP money for your employer. You would get all these things presuming there's no conflict and that you're eligible for all of them. This is incredibly great news. Then Savannah Guthrie had a really good follow-up question. She basically asked about Mitch. She said, well, how about the Republicans? I mean, will Republicans agree to what you're doing? You're at one point, you're high and going higher on the number. Will the Republicans go along with you? He says, Republicans will go with me. Then he says something and then he backs up and then he moves forward. He says, I haven't asked them, the Republicans, because I can't get through anything with Nancy Pelosi. Then he backs up. Then he goes forward. He says, but if I agree to something with Nancy Pelosi, the Republicans will do it. He makes it very clear. I got to commend the president. I mean, this is one of the clearest, concisest, well-said statements that I've heard from a man who sometimes doesn't answer questions very clearly and, goes sort of around in circles. This was very clear and very targeted in his remarks. 1, he's ready to sign the deal. 2, he's ready to go higher on the amount. 3, he will get the Republicans to sign the bill and it will be approved. I want to make this very clear to you because I have some people who jump in the comments now and then says, nothing's going to get done because Mitch is going to kill. Nothing's going to get done. No. I want you to understand what Donald Trump is saying. He's the head of the Republican Party because he's the president. He guides everything for policy related, even though he's in the executive branch. And he's saying very clearly, if there is a deal between him and Nancy Pelosi, it will be passed by the Republicans. And he said it very clearly to the camera. So with that, this is incredibly great news. I mean, the check amounts and the FPUC and the grants. Let me just go over them briefly because I've mentioned them before. But these are all incredible great news. $1,200 stimulus checks for individuals, $2,400 for a married couple. All my viewers on SSDI, SSI, and Social Security, you would get a stimulus check, a full stimulus check, the biggest stimulus check possible. All adults get $1,200. Yes, all adults get $1,200. This is incredibly great news. This is more generous than the Democrats. So you get a full stimulus check. There is no disqualification about multiple stimulus checks. Steve Mnuchin, the president, says he will do other stimulus checks in the weeks to come. But in this bill, there's just one stimulus check. This is incredibly great news. Children, a full stimulus check, $1,000. $1,000 stimulus check. This is more than the Democrats. They're at $500. Checks not taken out for child support. Checks not taken out for taxes. Checks not taken out for back debt collections. All incredible great news. So family of 5 stimulus checks, a family of 4 stimulus checks, all incredible great news. Next, FPUC higher. FPUC is higher. It's at $400 a week, but it's going more weeks, so it's going into mid-January now, which is categorically incredible. You're getting more weeks of FPUC, and it's retroactive to mid-September. I would prefer it's retroactive to late July, but it's not. All right, so with that, then I want to turn the discussion to the other question. And you know what I'm about to ask. This is so important. The question is, okay, what if Donald Trump doesn't win? Well, what happens the day after the election? What happens 19 days from now if Trump doesn't win? Or there's a contested election and he thinks he's won, but he's not agreeing to anything. This is the big concern, because ultimately the big concern is that what is Joe Biden's stimulus package? Now, here is something I have never said to you before in these recordings, and I told you it's exactly at the time that I'm mark. Hey, how good am I with timing? This is something you have never heard from me before, and you absolutely need to do this, Purple Power. You need to do this right away. You need to push broadcast news and news reporters on television, all the major news reporters you watch, and say, ask Joe Biden if he thinks that the stimulus package from Nancy Pelosi that she currently has would be enough stimulus to be passed and come into law in March of next year, and that we can wait all the way to March. And ask him if he thinks that Nancy Pelosi should do the deal now or wait till March. Because the problem I'm having is the following. Again, this is not a political statement for Trump or a political statement for Biden. I have a problem with journalists. The problem I'm having with journalists is threefold, and it's not good. One, they're not asking Joe Biden what is his position on the inability of Nancy Pelosi to sign a stimulus deal now. What is his position? Is his position she should take $2 trillion if the president offers $2 trillion? Is his position she should hold out for the extra $200 billion? What is his position? Then the next question is, okay, if he thinks she should hold out and that she's doing everything fine and everything is great, if you win the presidency, Mr. Biden, then by all accounts, the stimulus package would not become a law and not get into hands of the American people until March of next year. Do you think that the stimulus package that Nancy Pelosi currently has now at $2.2 trillion is enough stimulus for the American people in March of 2021? These questions have not been asked. It's as though no one asked Joe Biden about stimulus. It's as though he doesn't even get a question about stimulus. He's never asked about what Nancy's doing currently. He's never asked about what his administration would do in March. Now, let me give you the issue. And the issue you may already know because you've been seeing on this channel. The issue is that if Joe Biden wins 20 days from now, and you wake up and it's a Joe Biden presidency coming in, and this President Donald Trump, doesn't want to sign anything with Nancy Pelosi because he's lost. He doesn't want to sign anything. And the Senate Republicans, they lose. They don't want to sign anything. So you have to wait around for your stimulus until March of 2021. Does anyone think that $2.2 trillion is enough stimulus in March of 2021 with one little stimulus check of $500 for my veterans who have been waiting around for a stimulus check since this pandemic started and have never gotten a stimulus check? No. No. If you have to wait to March 2021 under a Biden administration for a stimulus package to get approved, it can't be Nancy Pelosi's stimulus package at $2.2 trillion. It needs to be $6.2 trillion. It needs to be $8.2 trillion. It can't be $2.2 trillion. At that point, the economy is in free fall because 6 months have passed from today, not even since March. And at that point, 2.2 ain't going to cut it. You need to have multiple stimulus checks retroactively. You need to have you have to do FPUC retroactively all the way to July, from March of next year all the way. You absolutely have to almost triple the stimulus package of Nancy Pelosi if you wait to March. The reason is very simple. Stimulus packages are supposed to be done in about a 1 to 2 month period of time. So this stimulus package was supposed to be done in July. We're now in October. It can't be. This stimulus package is supposed to be followed by another stimulus package in November. Everyone agrees. Everyone acknowledges that. So this stimulus package is supposed to be followed by another one in just a couple of weeks. We're now behind by 2 stimulus packages, 3 stimulus packages come March. It doesn't work. You see why I stay with this analysis. You see why it takes so many recordings in a given day, because I want you to understand the importance of the situation. So Purple Power, you need to really ramp up with broadcast news and say, what's Joe Biden's position on Nancy Pelosi this week? He's going to be head of the Democratic Party if he's elected president. Does he support Nancy Pelosi not signing a deal this week? Does Joe Biden then think if Nancy Pelosi is doing fine, that $2.2 trillion is going to cut it next year? And what is Joe Biden's stimulus package proposal? I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. I went to the casino. I asked them. They don't know either. Let me answer some of your incredible questions from yesterday. Christina, the check should be retroactive for all of us. Political little, they really are ridiculous. I've seen the long lines. Mike Gay, we're all unemployed. John Beard, they need to give the people money now. I'm sick of all of them. Skittles, a big nothing burger. Kathy Coleman, it's not money, Mitch, it's ours. It's for being Republican, you're cheap. Say it like it is. This is why our founding fathers warned about party politics. Cheryl, so when is this going to be final? Bertha, we may not be in a good place, but the kids should not do without a Christmas. David Shaw, about Pelosi, the Republicans are in a room. Put Pelosi and the Republicans in a room and don't let them out until they get a bill. I mean, a lot of people said that. Pelosi and Mnuchin talked for 90 minutes, 59 minutes a day, which is hardly work. And then during that 2 weeks of negotiations, they met for about 2 hours a day. I mean, just, they're not doing a lot. Christina, why don't he run for president? He seems like why don't you run for president? You look like you care for the people. Well, thank you. Linda Bonet, million, trillion, gazillion. It means nothing. We can't even get $2,000. Rich, has everyone seen what other countries have been doing? Steve Edmonds, we need our money now because all this makes me sick. We can't pay our bills. Just sign it now. They didn't do what they said they were supposed to do the first time for 6 months, so we should get back pay as well. We need to stop saying, they need to stop saying and send it now. And that goes to basically what I was saying in the earlier, just a few minutes ago, which is ultimately, okay, if we have to wait till March of next year to get stimulus under a Biden administration, is it going to be retroactive, or is Nancy Pelosi going to play that game? Oh, it's not going to be retroactive. It's just going to start in March of next year. How about all these months of stimulus checks we haven't gotten? How about all these months of benefits we haven't gotten? And at that point, $2.2 trillion ain't going to cut it. A lot of big developments and a lot of twists and turns. You understand why the push is so important, but you also understand why it's important to be informed and educated, and that's what I hope this video did for you. So go to the Friends channel, subscribe. We're going to get through this together. It's important to stay informed about all the nuances, and I hope you really push broadcast news to ask these harder questions, because they're not asking this harder question. They're also not asking the president about executive orders. Also, like this video. Coming up this afternoon at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time is afternoon's LALATE. Make sure you watch all those videos. Don't just watch the first one, because I'm going to have big developments for you about benefits in every single video about getting you money. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay LALATE.